All right, we're live. James Kelly, welcome back to the show.
Hello, hello. Good to be back. Feels like a while.
It is a
Thanks for
while.
having
It's just over, no, just under 6 months, I think it is. You're the first guest that we've had back on the show, so I hope you're honoured.
Oh, mate, I feel honoured. I feel honoured. Was that? Yeah, it was 6 months ago, wasn't it?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. It was
Jeez.
just after. It was just after you won the pro race in Birmingham. Uh,
Yeah, I feel like I'd been living or I'd been visiting the UK for 3 weeks, and I was picking up a little twang. But now that I've come back to Australia, I think I still have my Aussie accent.
you're in Cologne now, so you might get a German twang.
I know, mate. I feel like I should learn a little bit of German, but maybe next time.
All right. All right. So let's I mean, people should obviously listen to the previous episode, but if we set the scene for where you're at the moment, so you've essentially run two HYROX races in the past, two pro races. You won your first one in Birmingham in October 2022. Did a sub 60 there, and then a few weeks later you ran in London, and since then you've not raced, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Right.
I was obviously invited to the North American and European Championships early this year, but due to the fact that I was back home in Australia, and a couple of reasons, I wasn't able to make my way over. And I look back at it, and I feel like it's one of these things where as athletes, first of all, self-funded athletes as well. It's very hard to just go, all right, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I just had to choose wisely, to be honest. And the reason why I'm back in Cologne now, and then obviously going to Hong Kong, and then obviously Manchester, the World Championships. The reasons why those are the reasons why I couldn't actually make those championships.
Has it been like sitting at home in Australia and seeing all the fast times come through and slowly
Yeah,
get knocked out of the elite rankings and everything like that?
yeah, it's been a bit of a ride, because I was able to do a sub 60 my first race, and to me, I still reminisce on that because, as you knew, or my story is simple. I just found HYROX online, decided that I was going to be okay at it, booked a flight, did Birmingham, won. To me, like, my journey as a athlete, let alone a coach now, hasn't even started. So you know, it's so exciting that HYROX has decided to come to Australia, number one. Um, and yeah, it feels as if it's been a long journey the last 6 months of just like trying to work out whether or not I'm going to the World Champs as an age group, in my age group, or in the Elite 15. But that's one of the reasons why I'm over in Cologne right now.
Yeah. So you're just so people are aware, you're currently sitting. I think you're the 19th fastest male pro athlete of this season. Really need to be in the top 15, right, for the elite race, assuming everyone comes along. How do you feel your fitness is like right now, like for this Cologne race, compared to where you were at Birmingham?
Yeah, without sounding too confident, I'm definitely fitter than last October, specifically HYROX fitness. Again, I talk about, like, with a lot of my athletes, the sport that we are playing, let's just say, on training for, and sport in general, there's so many variables. So into play, I have done what I can do and everything that I can do to put myself in tip-top shape for, one, the Cologne race on Saturday, but also the Hong Kong race in 3 weeks' time. What I mean by the variables, if I end up not cracking back into the Elite 15 this weekend, well, it's not necessarily a reflection of just my own fitness. It's a reflection on a couple of things. So yeah, I've had a great 6 months of kind of training, getting my head right as well with it. Yeah, I'm more so just really excited to race again. It's been too long. Yeah.
You're presumably focused on HYROX training wise and have been since Birmingham, right? Would you say that you've changed anything in your training, like in this most recent block compared to like pre-Birmingham?
Yeah, definitely. Pre-Birmingham, I was coming in very blind. And you know, I didn't know what to expect at all. Now that I've done 2 races, now that I understand what the actual race is all about, I've been very strategic with my training especially the last 3 months, and it's very cool, and it's very exciting for me as an online HYROX coach now to not only be trying to get the best out of my own body and my own fitness, but doing it for a number of athletes. I'm learning on the go and on the fly with programming and best ways to periodize for a HYROX race, best ways to program for strength, program for running, etc. So to answer your question, I'm definitely more specific HYROX right here and now, and yeah, we'll see if it pays off on Saturday.
Have you changed your mind on anything in recent months, like as opposed to just becoming more specific in HYROX? Anything like running wise or training wise or strength wise or anything like that you might have changed your mind on, or not necessarily?
Yeah, no. It's a topic of discussion that I hear through your podcast, through a number of other social media platforms, with respect to the best ways to program and the best ways to train for HYROX, right? And my belief over the last 5-6 months since Birmingham has been to try to critically get better at each individual component of the race as opposed to doing it all at once. Yes, I do HYROX simulations and compromise running, but I'm a big believer now as an athlete and as a coach that you need to get better at all the specifics individually before actually putting them all together. So a lot of my training and a lot of my athletes' training is, specific running threshold sessions, specific strength endurance sessions, specific lower body lunge sessions, really targeting a focal point of the race. So yeah, as I said, I haven't raced in quite a while, so it might not do me justice, but I personally feel as if I'm ready to go more so than even Birmingham and London due to that type of training. And a lot of my athletes are saying the same. A lot of my athletes are saying that they're feeling as if they're getting better at running specifically, which is, as we all know, it's a compromised running session. Compromised running race. Yeah.
Okay. What's your running volume at the moment, roughly?
I do 4 running workouts per week. I call them workouts, running sessions a week. Two of them are very quality, and then 2 of them are zone 2. In terms of actual running volume, I'm not running more than 50 kilometers a week, because I personally feel like, I think I said this in my last podcast, you got to be specific, right? And the specificness of HYROX is that you need to be good at 1 kilometer intervals. So I'm doing a lot of threshold work, a lot of pacing, and a lot of fast running, with one or two zone 2 runs involved as well.
Okay. All right. If we just this might be a stupid question, but you were slightly slower in London, whatever it was, can't even remember, 4 or 5 weeks after Birmingham. And I know, like we said, there's a number of variables in a race. It's not just purely your fitness and everything like that. But do you look back on that London race and maybe think that you did anything wrong in between Birmingham and London?
No, not necessarily. Like, I know for a fact that my game plan was wrong of the race. I went out too hot trying to keep up with Tim. And in fact, that really stung me for the last half of the race, or the last quarter. In between Birmingham and London, I was in a great place. I was training well, hitting paces, doing everything right. But it's just funny, like, I put it down to that's just sport, and that's just life. Sometimes you just think that this is the right way to go about a race, and it's not, and you just learn from it. Yeah,
and there's a huge amount to be gained from experience purely in HYROX, and like, you're only 2 races in, right? So yeah. How do you feel about I've talked with a few people on this podcast about how they feel about the qualification process for the elite races and how it's based on time and everything like that. How do you feel about that? What's your opinion?
My first thought is that, geez, it must be hard from the HYROX point of view as a business, because they're trying to create this fitness sport globally now to try and target a lot of different demographics, the professional athletes, the weekend warriors, etc. So my first thought is, geez, like, I don't know if there's a right or a wrong process for it. That's my belief, and that's how I view it, because at the end of the day, it's out of my control. So as an athlete, I personally shouldn't be worrying about it at all. Now, if I did have control of it, would I change it? Yeah, absolutely. I personally think that if it wants to be created into a global fitness sport, you should be awarded if you win a race. And that's easier for me to say because I won my first one. But I feel like if they want to stretch the actual demographic of elite racing, then people would love the idea of traveling to races because of different ways to win a race compared to doing it in the US or doing it in Europe or doing it in the UK. I feel like there should be a little bit more professionalism behind that area. I don't know if there should be a time constraint or a cut-off time to make the Elite 15. As I said earlier, I'm so fresh with this sport that I'm just enjoying the journey of it. So it's funny because we as athletes, we as coaches, we as lovers of HYROX are very easy to be critical and have our opinion, but God, it must be hard from their end as well.
Yeah, 100%. There's no easy answer. Certainly, when you think about it like a business, you might come up with a different answer to what you might come up with as an athlete, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's certainly. I was just looking at the starting list for Cologne and Malaga this weekend, and there's a lot of athletes competing, a lot of big names competing. So it's going to be good to watch.
It's exciting, yeah.
Yeah. And some of that excitement is almost caused by the need to get a time as well, because everyone's desperately trying to do it. So from a spectator perspective, it's probably quite good.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so excited. I know amongst many, but I know Bo Williams is racing. I know Tom Hogan and Tim are racing. So if I want to try and scrape back into the Elite 15, it's only good that really quality athletes are actually racing with me on Saturday.
Yeah, sure. All right. I had a question come in from someone who said you probably saw that Hunter McIntyre broke the world record recently in Barcelona. The question was how can he be beaten at the World Championships this year? Do you have an opinion on that?
Well, I have an opinion on that. Absolutely. Like I'm an Aussie. I'm an Aussie larrikin who hates to lose. So even Hunter McIntyre breaking his own world record by 2 minutes the other day, I still my first thought is how can I beat him? And the answer is he is able to be beaten. However, like I am still absolutely blown away by him. Especially being away from racing HYROX specifically for so long, and then just coming back and absolutely blowing the race out of the water. Like I have so much more respect for him doing that than I did before. You know, to be simple though, like sports a funny game, or sports a funny thing. It's one of these things. Come world champs, you know, if he doesn't rock up with the right attitude, or he feels as if he's a little bit more complacent. Geez, there's a lot of other athletes knocking on his door very, very close behind him. And it's just a matter of him not rocking up correctly to just let someone go by. But sorry, to answer the question, I don't know how, but it's possible. Absolutely.
Okay, cool. You sort of touched on earlier that HYROX have announced there's events in Australia coming up in August, actually, in Sydney and Melbourne. You think it's going to be well received down under?
I think so, mate. You know, Australians, you know, I obviously got brought up, born and bred Aussie. We're very competitive. We love our sport and we love to win. We're very competitive with ourselves, but obviously with other Aussies as well. I feel like the fitness demographic or the fitness industry in Australia has been waiting for something else to pop up. Personally, and it's my opinion, it's obviously not necessarily correct, but we're over CrossFit. We need something else. And I think because of how much we love running at the moment down under, I feel like the Aussies are just absolutely going to love it. Especially the communities of group fitness. There's a big component of group training still in Australia. I can just see, you know, gyms upon gyms and communities upon communities just really rallying together and getting amongst Sydney, Melbourne. It might take a couple of events to really get underway. But yeah, I'm just super excited for it. Myself, yeah.
Assuming that we get some Aussies watching this who are going to be competing for the first time in a few months, what would be your a few tips that you've got for a first timer coming into HYROX? What springs to mind?
Few tips. If you haven't compromised run before, start now. That's easier said than done. But my my main belief as an athlete and as a coach is that, yes, you need to be good at running. And as I said, individually, you need to be good at running and the stations individually. But we all know the HYROX race is a compromised running race. And we know that there's been athletes out there that are very good runners that fall really short because they're not used to the stimulus of running and workload. So my biggest tip is to try and engage in workouts that is just compromised running, whether it is with weight or not. But you just got to get amongst the workouts that really challenge you, doing interval running into station work, interval running into station work. As a first timer, you just got to get used to that type and style of stimulus before anything. Yeah, and it'll be interesting because there's a lot of training down under at the moment that does that already. Like, there's a lot of gyms out there that do a lot of compromised running. So it'll be really good if people, it'll be really good for some, weekend warriors and athletes down here to actually be able to put it in a race format. Yeah.
I remember you saying as well that like your Aussie Rules background had probably helped you come into something like HYROX as well. Like that blend of speed and endurance and strength, it prepared you quite well without even thinking about it,
Yeah, absolutely. I know for a fact, like, I don't know if they'll be able to do it, but I know a few Aussie Rules players that I've played with and a lot from Melbourne actually, who I could see going really well, because the Aussie Rules stimulus is that fartlek style compromised running where you're actually making sure that you're freshening up by still working. You're really trying to produce a really intense effort, but then you're also trying to recover whilst working still, and that type of stimulus as opposed to just on off. So it'll be interesting to see if we get a lot of AFL players, and I really hope they all get amongst it.
Yeah. We changes the subject a little bit. We spoke about last time you were on the show. We spoke about you felt like you had grit when you were competing, and like a lot of your training in your past, in your childhood, had given you that grit. And I talk to people on here about like what they think about when they're competing and when the going gets really tough. Like, what do you think about? Where does your mind go? How do you focus? How do you stay sort of like positive during the race? I'm interested to know.
Mine's simple. I think about my family. Emotion to me creates energy, whether it is good emotion or bad. Now, I haven't had many hiccups in my life along the way, touch wood, but I've had some ups. I've had a lot of downs as well, and the ability to step out of yourself and actually reflect on, is this actually tough what you're doing in a race compared to other times of your life and other times of other people's lives who have suffered. It's really fascinating because what we do is a choice. We choose to, do a HYROX race. So my philosophy of my mindset going into a race is that I'm so excited that I'm able to do this. And I'm really excited to make my partner Georgie proud, to make my family, my mum, my dad, and my sister proud. But deep down, like, and I'm not afraid to say it, I've got this burning like fire inside me still that's trying to prove myself, trying to prove things to myself. And, you know, like, I'm trying to make myself proud. That's what I'm trying to say. Because geez, like, I'm 29 years of age now, and I'm just getting better and better as an athlete. And yeah, it's fascinating, the mindset going through a HYROX race. And you know, there's a lot of ups and downs, as we know. But you know, what gets you through is the emotions, and to me, it's my emotions and my thought processes of my loved ones. Yeah.
Okay. All right, great. All right, I've got some questions for a quick fire round.
Here we go.
So, last time you mentioned that you like to work out to Bieber. So, first question is, what's your best song to work out to?
Favorite song to work out to? I've actually changed a little bit, mate. I think it was because I had some time in the UK. I got into some UK grime, so I love a bit of Stormzy at the moment.
Right.
Do you know who Stormzy is?
I know who Stormzy is. Yeah, I don't listen to him, but
yeah, mate, he's my go-to at the moment. He really gets me fired up. Yeah.
Okay. All right. You got any pre-race rituals or superstitions?
Not really, to be honest. You know, like, I eat the same, have the same amount of coffee. I have 3 coffees a day. It's funny though, because racing at 7:30, 8 o'clock p.m. at night, it kind of really gets you out of whack. So I don't really have any pre-race rituals or anything like that. It's just trying to keep very routine with what I'm doing.
Have you changed? Look, it's quite a late start, right, in Cologne that you've got. Have you changed your training times in the past couple of weeks to prepare for that, or just not bothered?
No, because, like, you know, I was here on Monday, so I'm actually, I don't think I'm jet lagged one little bit. 8 p.m. Cologne time is actually 4 a.m. Brisbane time, and I normally train at 5 a.m. in the morning anyway, or I'm up and about doing something. So no, I haven't. I've been meaning to have a look at, you know, doing a session this week at about 8 p.m., but I don't think I will. You know, I've done the work already, and it's more about come game day really being prepared for the race at 8 p.m. as opposed to actually fitting in a workout at the chosen time right now. It's not really going to do me any justice. So no, mate. Nah, I haven't really changed much.
Okay. You mentioned your love for Quest bars last time we spoke, but you said there was a specific way of eating them, and then I failed to ask you what that specific way was.
Well, it's funny. It's actually been I've actually fallen out of love for them.
Oh.
However, you know, the best way is to actually take the Quest bar out of the wrapper, right? Put a tablespoon of peanut butter on top, and then you put it in the microwave. Got to microwave it for 30 seconds, no more, no less. And it's just amazing. It's just the right temperature, and the right hardness as well. It's just absolutely perfect. Next time when I'm come over to Manchester, I'll bring you one, because I don't think they sell them over here, do they?
No, I don't think so. Like, they're certainly harder to find than they used to be. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll bring you one come World Champs.
All right, nice. Best experience so far in sport?
In sport, definitely the last 2 years, I've won 2 premierships with the Coopero Footy Club, and they have been my favourite sporting moments. just being a part of a team, and I just love team sports. Going through the journey of a season with the same people, the same boys, the same lads, and you know, it's just amazing to embrace like a premiership with people. I could easily say like my favorite moments is, you know, breaking a sub 3 hour marathon or stuff like that. But to me, it's the moments that I'm sharing with a lot of people and my best mates. So the last 2 years, I've been privileged to win 2 premierships with the Coorparoo Footy Club, and they've been unreal.
Okay. Yeah. Toughest thing that you've ever done in sport?
Toughest thing I've ever done, and to date, nothing comes close. Sport or in fitness exercise, I was able to work for my father when I was a little bit younger, who took trips to Mount Kilimanjaro in Tanzania. Long story short, I was one of the tour guides with the proper tour guides over there, but I was asked to do the Kilimanjaro trek twice in a row. I had to do the summit climb one night, come back for one night, and then do it another second time in the space of 3 nights. And to date, there's nothing that I've done that comes even close to that mental toughness that I went through that night, especially with the altitude, the cold, the weather. Nothing comes close to doing Kilimanjaro twice in the space of three nights.
Wow. How old were you then?
19.
Okay.
It was about 10 years ago now. Yeah, about 10 years ago. Yeah.
Nice. All right. Zone 2 training, overrated or underrated?
Underrated. Absolutely underrated. My athletes and I do at least one Zone 2 specific workout a week. Think about if your Zone 2 threshold is this big, your 80 to 90% isn't going to be as big as it should be. That didn't really make sense, but if your Zone 2 threshold is large, it only makes your 80, 90, 100% larger. So you've got to start from Zone 2, I believe. You've got to really build a base more than anything. It's better to build a base than trying to do interval training and race pace training. No, you've got to start from Zone 2.
Okay. Pure strength work. This is in the context of HYROX. Pure strength work, like heavy deadlifts, heavy squats. Overrated or underrated?
Depends on the individual. If you do have a solid foundational strength as a person, definitely overrated. Personally, as an athlete training for HYROX, pure strength, I do one pure strength session a fortnight, if that, depending on what's coming up. But the answer to the question is it's specific to the individual. If you haven't been lifting for at least a year, if not more than that, to be honest, then you should have a couple of pure strength sessions a week. But if you've been a developed HYROX athlete for a year or so, understand how, the sleds work and whatnot, pure strength work is definitely overrated for HYROX.
Mm-hmm. We spoke before how well the race is put together and all the elements playing to each other and so on. But if you could make one change to it to make it more perfectly suited to you, what would you do?
To the first thing that comes in my head is a simple one, just double it. Yeah, like as in what I would do is actually do 2 kilometer intervals or two kilometer intervals, and then double all the station and reps to suit me. The longer the better for me. And that really gets me fired up because, like, I know for a fact that not many people are like that, you know, like, so yeah, it's just double it, triple it, quadruple it, you
know. Disgusting.
Yeah.
Post-race food, what's your go-to snack or meal after a race?
My partner Georgie has had to talk to me about my fetish for chips and aioli, just fat hot chips, and it's got to be with aioli. Just love it. But they've got to be fat chips, not fries. Yeah, chips with aioli. I could go to town on them.
And last one of this little round is what shoe you're going to wear for the race?
I've got Nike Zooms and have been wearing Nike Zooms for quite a while. Yeah, so they're pretty fresh. Only 2 weeks old, but I've done a lot of work with them already, and they're feeling good. They're feeling fast.
Right, nice. Any questions you wish I'd asked before we finish up?
Nah, nothing so far, mate.
All right. So you offer coaching, like you said, you're doing online coaching. Can you talk about that? Talk about the process, maybe how it's different, how it's the same, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I started my online coaching business, JK Hybrid Training, pretty much a month before Birmingham last year. I just went all in. I've been in the industry as a PT and a group trainer for 10 or so years. And to be honest, it's the best thing that I've ever done because it's really given me the motivation and the passion to try to get the most out of individuals, and that's what I'm loving. I was really skeptical of doing it online, but I really love the online journey with people because you know, we communicate on the daily still, and it's very individualized. The style of training or my approach to coaching, and I think it stems from how I got coached as a youngster by a number of quality coaches, is that if you want to get the most out of someone as an athlete, you got to get familiar with them as a person first. You got to understand their why and why are they doing what they're doing. I was lucky enough, and I think I spoke about him in the last podcast, but my running coach at school, Craig Gunny, you know, he was so good at trying to get the most out of an individual athlete because he knew how to target them from an emotional point of view. So, you know, fast forwarding what I learned back then, I'm trying to replicate that in my own coaching now. As I said, my coaching philosophy for any sport, let alone HYROX, is that it's got to be individualized, because there's no point doing the exact same workouts for everyone because it just defeats the purpose. What's the point of doing the same workouts for a 60-minute pro men HYROX racer compared to a 90-minute women's open racer? You can't give them the same workouts. You just can't. That's why my process of coaching is very simple. It's just understanding that person, number one, why they're doing or why they're trying to get involved in HYROX. Number two, I put them through a couple of fitness tests. Understand what they've come from is very important, and their history with training. And then from there, it's literally just a day by day learning curve for myself and them. I'm trying to get the most out of them every day. I should have shares with WhatsApp, because I literally spend that hours and hours upon end on WhatsApp with my athletes, going through their individual programming. We have our WhatsApp group together, which is great. And yeah, like it's a real journey for me, because it's my first job it's not a job to me. It's my first time that I get so excited to wake up to try and get the most out of people, you know? Yeah, I think that summed it up.
Okay, great. Where should people go if they want to find out more about that?
Yeah. My Instagram, JK_hybrid training. There's a few links on my link tree there you can have a look at. There's a free consultation if you ever want to talk about training.
Okay. All right. Sweet. All right. Well, thank you for this. Appreciate it. It's been great again. Good luck for Cologne. Good luck for Hong Kong.
Thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate you joining us. Any final words? Any final things you'd wish I'd asked or anything?
No, mate. No, just appreciate what you do. Loving the content and really enjoying what you're doing. And good luck for London for yourself personally. And obviously see you in Manchester in a month or two.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, brilliant. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate
it. Take care. See you, everyone.
You, mate. Bye.